All right. Thank you all for joining us for the April 29th business meeting of the Montana Geospatial Information Advisory Council. I want to say again how much we appreciate your flexibility as we changed meeting dates last week. We had a technical issue with Zoom, and in order to be in compliance with Montana's open meeting laws and make sure that this particularly important meeting when we're talking about our recommendations for grant awards is done in full transparency, we wanted to make sure that we postpone that meeting and allow for good discussion and interaction today. So thank you again for that. Let's go ahead and start with introductions. My name is Jenny Stepp. I'm the state librarian and the chair of the council. We'll do introductions in the room and then we'll turn things online. So Erin, will you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Erin Fashway, State GIS Coordinator. And Rebecca Camp, State Library Data Coordinator.
Genevieve Blattheiser, Admin Specialist at State Library.
Okay. And for those of you who are online, if you could introduce yourself, I'll go ahead and call on council members. And I can't see everyone, so if someone's not here, we'll make note of it. Is Alan with us?
He just entered the room.
Okay, we'll come back to Alan. Is Adam Carpenter with us? Maureen, if you would introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Maureen Sealander. I'm the GIS manager with Custer County, and I represent local government on the board.
Is Brian with us?
No, but wrong person, wrong seat.
Christian, why don't you introduce yourself?
Christian Hinderman, GIS analyst with DNRC, sitting in for the state rep who's on vacation.
Welcome, Christian. Thanks for being with us. Valentine.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Valentine Hoff, work at the Fire Center at the University of Montana, and I represent the Montana University System.
And Lee Mackholtz.
Lee Mackholtz. I am the GIS manager for the city of Missoula, and I'm sit on the council as a local government representative.
Alan, would you introduce yourself? Looks like you're muted, Alan. Eric, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, there we go.
All right, you ready, Alan?
No, go ahead.
All right.
I hadn't accepted the recording, and so it wouldn't let me unmute.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Eric Spangenberg. I'm with Lewis and Clark County, City of Helena. I am on the council as the GIS professional.
And Alan.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. Alan Armstrong here from the Bureau of Land Management. I represent the federal government.
Thanks, Alan. We are still short a couple of appointments to the council. Our Montana Association of Registered Land Surveyors and the private business representative positions are still currently vacant. We appreciate those of you who could join us today. I want to also ask some other attendees if they would introduce themselves. Sean. You're muted, Sean. There you go.
Thank you. I'm Sean Anderson. I am the Grants and Contracts Coordinator for the State Library, and work closely with Erin to do the administrative parts of this work.
And Evan?
Hi, Evan Hammer, Digital Library Administrator here at the State Library.
Tom Coley.
Good morning. My name is Tom Coley. I'm with Carbon County GIS Coordinator, and I'm just here today as a participant.
Thanks, Tom, for being with us. Lindsay.
Lindsay Holloway, City of Missoula Program Coordinator, just here to listen.
And a familiar name, Ken Wall. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Ken Wall with Geodata Services, just listening in.
And we have someone from Blaine County.
Cover the team.
Yeah, we got the team here. This is Shane Fox, Blaine County Commissioner, Savannah Wendland, Grant Manager, and Miles Hutton, Commissioner.
Welcome. Did I miss anyone? All right. Hearing none, are there any changes or additions to the agenda? Okay, moving on to our business items. Is there a motion to approve the March 13th meeting minutes?
Yeah, I'd like to move. Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Lee.
Valentine. No, you go
Right.
ahead, Valentine. Fine, I'll do it. I move to approve the what was March 13th, 2004 meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Thanks, Eric. Any discussion about the meeting minutes? Any public comment? All in favor of approving the March 13th meeting minutes, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Moving on to our primary business of the day, the council's recommendations for the FY25 grant application funding prioritization. Erin, do you want to introduce the action
Yeah.
item?
Thanks, Jenny. So what you have in front of you today is the memo and then attached spreadsheet outlining the grants that were submitted, the grant applications that were submitted this year for FY 2025 grant program. And just as a reminder, that follows the state fiscal year, and that would begin on July 1 of this year, 2024, and end June 30th of 2025. And so we received a total of 11 applications, totaling a request of over $400,000 of MGIA funding, and then a total of $182,000 in partner leveraged funding. In the Geospatial Information Plan, basically, it's the current version of the land plan. Eventually, we will switch it over to the Geospatial Information Plan. But that totaled, but was budgeted for a total of $250,000 for grants for fiscal year 2025. After review by the internally by the MSL, and then a scoring and review process of the subcommittee, it was decided that six of the submitted applications would be funded with stipulations totaling $207,000-ish. And and that this year, the subcommittee decided to, oh, sorry about that. That's my bad. I owe everyone donuts. Decided to try something new, and with the remaining funding, request that the tier 1 proposals that were not ranked for funding or prioritized for funding could submit a best and final proposal, so a best and final offer. And so that is what you have in front of you. And the folks on the subcommittee this year were Valentine, Alan, and Eric. So really appreciate their work on this, and then also appreciate, of course, Sean and Matt's assistance this year in getting Matt Trevish and getting this up and running and then scored. I'm going to go through the stipulations because I think they need a little bit of an explanation. So there's no stipulations for Missoula County. This would be according to rule, we're able to float grants, we're able to prioritize grants that are coming back for a multi-phase project. So this will be, I believe, year 5. of their project. And so there's no stipulations for Missoula County's funding. For Carbon County's request, it's a tier 2 RTN network build out. The stipulation was to reduce funding by about 6,500. Do not fund task 231, which is purchase of a GPS equipment, and Blaine County's, again, fully fund. No stipulations there. Powder River, reduced funding by 2,800, do not fund task 331, and that was working internally on some processes that are either going to be taken care of by MSL or can be taken care of by the tool that we produce for checking data against. Wheatland County's recommendation is to fully fund, and then the city of Glendive is to again reduce funding for the outlined tasks and by about $3,200. Again, it is either it's a duplication of efforts or something that is going to be replaced by the tool. So that's another next gen grant. So that is what we have in front of you. The remaining funds as budgeted currently would be around 42,000. And like outlined in the memo, the recommendation to the council by the subcommittee was to allow for the tier 1 grants to submit a best and final offer, or best and final submittal, which we can discuss here today what that looks like. Alan, Eric, or Valentine, did you have anything else to add?
Well, just in thinking of best and final, a lot of times in the contracting world, it came up that best and final means sharpen your pencil and come back with your best cost. In this case, it wasn't just that. It was more or less some of the reasons that these grants received a lower score was because they completely missed a section. And so we can't interpret what that section should be as a committee. We need to go on what's actually submitted. So what should go back to these folks is, why don't you look over your entire submittal again, make sure you're not missing anything, and then just make sure it's very clear and following the directions that were guided by the council in the first place for the grants. Make sure everything is complete, and we'll take a look at them again.
Is there a motion, and then we'll get to discussion and public comment? Is there a motion that a council member wants to make with regard to the recommendations?
I'd make the motion that we move to approve the grants as prioritized and as described by Aaron. If that meets the terms of what we need to have said, Jenny.
Thank you, Eric. So a motion to approve the prioritization as described.
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Valentine, thank you. Council members, questions or discussion? Members of the public, do any of you have public comment?
Jenny, before we get there, I have a question.
That.
Sorry, I was looking for my mute button.
Go
Hard
ahead,
to
Lee.
see these online. So I guess I would like to know if there is a clarification, if you can clarify the City of Missoula grant and why it fell into the do not fund versus the best and final submission. Why there's a reason there that we wouldn't give them an opportunity to resubmit as well. And I am not, this is not, I'm trying to be impartial on this. Just curious.
Sure. I think the reason why was just it was a tier 1 and we wanted to give the tier It was not a tier 1 grant. We wanted to give the tier 1s an opportunity to be funded, and in the land information plan, and I do believe in the grant application materials, it does state that tier 1s can be prioritized over tier 2, just because of their importance with updating the Montana spatial data infrastructure and the overall impact for the program. So it falls in line with the MGIA.
Understood. Thank you.
Other questions or discussion from council members? Okay, then I'd like to open it up to public comments. Those of you online, if you have comments, if you could raise your hand. Is there any public comment?
Good morning. This is Tom Coley. I'm sorry I couldn't find a way to raise my hand, but I do have a public comment.
Thanks,
If
Tom.
you
Go
have a
ahead.
moment.
Please.
So to begin with, I would very much like to thank the council for putting Carbon County and ranking them where they did. I was very pleased to see we ranked second overall in the application ranking. I think it goes a long way to said a lot about your support for the overall Montana RTN network, and also, you know, counties wanting to get more involved with the network and launch on some very important projects such as asset mapping. The only thing I would ask is maybe reconsideration of the removal for funding for task 2.3.1 under the Carbon County application. I just want to put forth that the city of Red Lodge and Carbon County are looking to partner in this project. And we feel that some of the rover equipment, the GPS equipment, is going to be necessary to both test the base station and also to kind of really launch on some more detailed asset mapping that the county and the city were going to collaborate on. And we'll just see if there's any room in the budget to reconsider that. I think the equipment is an important component of the application overall. So appreciating any consideration you can give to that task 231. Otherwise, thank you very much for accepting our application and ranking it where you did.
Thanks, Tom. Is there any other public comment? Is there any other public comment? Hearing none, we have a motion on the table to approve the grant recommendations as presented, as prioritized. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Is there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion passed unanimously. Council members, the State Library Commission will have a special meeting on Friday, May 10th, where they will consider your recommendations at that time. And those of you who have attended online, members of the public, I encourage you to also attend that meeting as well. We'll have that agenda and information available by the end of this week.
Does the council have to take action on the best and final submittal?
I was assuming that Eric's motion took that into account.
Okay.
Eric, did I interpret your motion correctly?
I would have thought those come underneath, since they're underneath that same heading in that spreadsheet. Remind me, Aaron, is that with these best and the best proposals, were they were going to come back and we were going to revisit them? Is that correct?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
correct. So it would be nice to maybe have a little discussion. I don't know if we have to have it here with the subcommittee on the boundaries of that.
Hmm.
So we can be clear with the grant applicants. And I don't know if that's something that, in your opinion, Jenny, that has to go to the commission first, or?
I think we just need to bring forward the ones that have been prioritized for funding.
Okay, got it.
So is the council and members of the public clear? Those that have been formally ranked will go to the commission on May 10th. And then those that have been recommended for applicants to submit a best and final, the subcommittee will communicate with them what that means. And then those responses would be brought back to the council, probably at your July meeting.
Is that the way you're interpreting it to be, Alan?
Yeah, that sounds good. What date did we give them to give us that best and final by?
That would be what we need to discuss with the subcommittee. We have not, since it was just approved today, Alan, that would be our next step to decipher.
Okay, yeah,
We
that's
would
my
want to
understanding.
I would think we would want the council's work, the subcommittee's work to bring additional recommendations back to this council by that July 11th meeting.
That should be plenty of time.
Yeah. plenty of
Yeah,
time.
that'll be plenty of time. So we'll convene the subcommittee and Sean and I to basically set the guidelines for the best and final and the deadlines.
Good. All right, that takes care of the business items on the agenda. The future meeting goals, as I said, our next meeting is July 11th, and as discussed at our last council meeting, that's intended to be a longer kind of work session format meeting. The plan is to have a council dinner or some time to socialize the evening prior to the meeting. So in our meeting arrangements, we'll make sure that you all know that our hope is for everyone to be able to be here in person in Helena prior to that meeting the evening before. And then we'll plan to spend a long day. I think the top priority for that meeting is really focusing on what we want the geospatial information plan to look like going forward. As we've talked about, that we have a lot more opportunity and flexibility in how that plan is crafted over a longer period of time. And so I really want us to spend the majority of that day focusing on what that plan should look like, what goals we want to set forth, what kinds of metrics we want to put in place to make sure we're achieving those goals, what kinds of reporting we want to have in place, etc. Erin, are there other goals that you would like to see accomplished at that July meeting?
I think one of the other goals is to set a calendar, what that looks like, probably for the next, I would say 2 bienniums. A rough outline of how frequently we need to be meeting, the deadlines we need to be achieving, and then all the work that needs to be done in between those times with either the grant subcommittee or, working sessions with the council. And then also include travel that could be required of the council, whether it's to attend NISJIC, may get any other types of events that would be under the council's purview. So I think, again, I was looking at rule this morning, and so the rule for the land plan deadline has changed. So I think we need to set our own rule on what that looks like. We have the new deadline of September 1st to decide on whether we want to review it or to review it. The geospatial information plan, but there's no deadline of when that needs to be completed. And so I think, if we look at the biennium, when budgets are due, other types of reporting that are mandatory, I think that would be good to try to, succinctly plan that. Make sure we're in line with everything. And then, of course, the commissions, keeping in mind the commission's calendar. And so those were some of my like bigger goals, which, you know, basically falls in line with geospatial information plan is, you know, understanding the calendars and deadlines and whatnot. And getting recommendations from the council. I think the other thing is, you know, understanding the procedures and I guess in line with the work plan, the workflow we just had approved in the March meeting to really dive into what that looks like, how the council will participate in that. Will it be a subgroup? How we will interact with outside organizations. I know the first standard or best practice we were talking about is the addressing standard for the addressing data. And pushing that through the council, and so I kind of understanding those expectations. And then the other one kind of goes into council reporting, and I know we want to talk about this here today as well, but what the council wants to see in reporting, how it aligns with the geospatial information plan. So do we want MAGIP to report every meeting? Do we want outside, do we want a grant applicant and or a grant recipient to report every meeting? What that looks like, what the reports look like. Do we want to standardize reports? And then of course, understanding that our constituencies, what we're trying to accomplish in hearing from them and making sure it's at the right, again, back to the timeline, making sure it's being given to us at the correct time. And I think that's some of my bigger goals, which will take a lot of time. Yeah.
Council reaction for the topics we want to talk about in July.
Yeah, I have a request, please. If it's been quite a while, I can't remember the last time we had a report on the budget and what the with the approval of this round of grants and how much is coming in terms of the income from the, wow, my head, it's Monday morning, my head is gone.
No.
But where our fund is sitting at and some of that budget reporting, it'd be nice to have a report on that at July, please.
Sounds good. I can tell you that's something that we're looking at really closely and with some of the trends in high mortgage interest rates. We're definitely seeing a slowdown in those collections. So we'll be sure and have that report for you in July as well.
Thank you. Collections, that's the word I was looking for.
I guess my question back to the council is, is this in line with what you are expecting, or is there anything you think that we should be reviewing for our future meeting goals, especially the July meeting goal kind of being a larger working session?
You know, I didn't hear anything out of the ordinary. I mean, it sounds like, you know, we're just putting some administrative things in line and in order of how we're gonna do things. And I agree, you know, I think we had a brief thing. I know, and I don't know, you know what, Lee, I think we got something about budget, but I think that might have just been to a couple of us when we did the grants. We might have seen something. And so that might be, because I remember seeing that downswing based on mortgage. We had all those sales and mortgage rates dropped, and now with them going up, things are slowing down a little bit, like you said. And so, yeah, I agree. Seeing a full accounting would be well in order. And yeah, no, I didn't hear anything else outside of what you were talking about, Aaron, that and I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I believe we should be dealing with more. We got the information, the geospatial plan, and the actions that will come from that are our big things, really. So no.
I think to Aaron's point about council involvement, council reporting, your work as representatives for other sectors. I really hope we can use the geospatial information plan and the goals that come from that to help set expectations for your involvement and engagement as well. What does the council's work look like to advance the plan outside of the direct work of the state library? And then how does that inform our goal setting and reporting from council members as well?
And from my own standpoint with as sitting on the Megit board as well, I'd be looking for guidance on how, right now I've been kind of putting it in there that I'm a direct voice conduit between, what we're talking here and what Megit has going on. But at all the past meetings, there's, Mike or someone from the Megit board has come and given a full report as well. So I just want to make sure that I fulfill the role that the council wants me to fill in regards to how it's represented on the Megit board. So
We touched on this a little bit at the GeoCon as well, and we've cut the size down considerably of the membership here in the new formation, the MGAC. That a lot of us, well, it's not like we had a ton of representation on any front before, but now it's down to one person for federal, one person for professional, one person for the local GIS community, and so on. It a lot of it's going to fall on us to figure out how to bring that voice to this council. But it'd be nice to brainstorm a little bit on that, on how we might do better outreach to bring that voice to the council as the representative. Like in my case, the federal representation on the council. How do I have some ideas, but it would be nice to brainstorm some other ideas, how I could really reach out and get that voice as a representation through me to the council for the federal perspective. Everyone talked about this a little bit at the GeoCon. It is a big responsibility now to cover that entire sector. Even though it's not like we reduced from 100 members down to 10. We only had 2 for federal in the first place, so now there's 1. But I just want to make sure I do my part to at least bring that federal perspective to this council. So that might be a topic to just touch on.
Great.
I think in line with that would be asking the council members what they need to perform their roles.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Once we do that brainstorming, Alan, what support do you need from MSL to complete that?
Yeah, what communication tools,
Right.
what other kinds of channels can we make available to you to help you do that work?
Right, and you might have some really good ideas on that. So it'd just be good to bring that up as a topic.
And he's referencing, we had a panel for all the you folks that weren't able to attend Big Site GeoCon. We had a panel of 4 council members. And I thought it was fun. And I'd love to do it again. And I didn't give them any of the questions ahead of time. And they did wonderfully. And so I think it would be nice to do that again and broadcast it more, maybe than just outside of Big Sky GeoCon. I think folks liked it, and like I said, I think it went really well. So thank you,
Great.
Lee and Alan and Eric and Maureen for attending and representing the council.
I want to make notes. I've been taking notes of discussion items. We'll have a fuller discussion about the MGIA collections report. Just so you're aware, we do have a dashboard on the State Library website. It's how we've reported your quarterly financial reports to you, that also has a chart for collections. So that's just linked through our dashboards off of the State Library homepage. But given some of the things that we're currently investigating with the collections, I think it's worth a larger discussion. And then discussion about how we want to move forward with the changes in statute for the geospatial information plan, including goals, metrics, and reporting. And to Aaron's point, I would include under that reporting, who else do we want to hear from, including grant recipients and others. I think some of that information really should come under the goals that we're trying to achieve through the land plan itself. We've talked previously about the council receiving more updates from theme leads under the spatial data infrastructure, for example. Again, I think that work should really be tied back to the geospatial information plan. Trying to do our best to put forward a multi-biennium calendar, do some calendar setting. Again, talk about council representation, outreach, and reporting tied back to the land or the geospatial information plan. And then looking at next steps as we start to implement our geospatial standards workflow that you adopted at your last meeting.
I will
drop the link to the dashboard in the.
Sure, that'd be great. And I think we should maybe just talk about logistics of reappointments, Jenny. So, typically, so those of you that might be, your term is up because it was staggered. And so we had folks appointed at different or reappointed at different intervals. The way that the governor's office has always interpreted that, well, this current governor and the last has interpreted it is that you are on until a reappointment is made or you resign. And so given that the next council meeting is July 11th, that is past the date of some folks's reappointments. I will say that is how they've been have been interpreting it, and I would assume that we're gonna carry that forward. Jenny, can we just make that assumption now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Definitely.
all right.
Yeah, that's their standard operating practice. So, and we'll remain in touch with the Lieutenant Governor's office as they look at filling out the current appointments and looking at reappointments.
I know there's I think two folks, and one of them is the state rep, and the other one might be Marls. I'd have to pull it up to double check, but
It's me.
oh, okay, Valentine, you're good.
Okay.
Same with you guys, DNRC.
Any other discussion?
Just a quick something for those of us on the council kind of thinking about these conversations in July. I think one thing that might help us prior to that meeting is for each of us to take a quick look through the strategic plan, the library strategic plan, especially around the goals and priority sections, because I think it's important that we find that balance of, that the strategic plan was built for the library, but how do we leverage that and engage with it in a way that is, again, supporting the work and set priorities and all the different things. Because I think that some of that will need to play into the geospatial information plan as we restructure that. So just having some of those ideas kind of fresh in our minds as we go into that conversation about how we want to structure this. Though I recognize this meeting is not going to be to create the information plan, but to start talking around it. I think that it might be good for us to come in with those concepts in mind.
It's a really great point, Lee. Appreciate you bringing that up, and we'll make sure and have that information included in your meeting materials as well.
Thank you. Other than that, I think that the ideas that are, the concepts of what we have for that meeting sound great.
Great. Any other discussion? Erin, anything you want to add?
Outside of the council for the working session on July 11th, is there anyone else that the council would like me to invite to assist with the planning process? The one person I was thinking is Gail Jorgensen, since she's the president of Make It right now. Well, she will be in a week or tomorrow. I don't remember when the cutoff is.
If as you're thinking of that meeting, you have recommendations from someone you would want to include, please just let Erin know.
Speaking of Megip, many of you should have, if not already, they've sent out the election poll. So you should be receiving, if you're a member of Megip in good standing, you should be receiving the election polling email. So
Did that already go out, Eric?
yeah, it was in my inbox this morning. So yeah, it's sitting in my inbox right now. So you should have received, it should be going out to people. So
Yes, I received it, Eric.
sorry.
Is there a vice president role person?
I didn't look at it yet, so I didn't want to be distracted and have it open while I was in the middle of this meeting.
Idea, Eric.
I knew last week they were still having difficulty recruiting, so I just wanted to see if that had been filled.
I don't know. I didn't look. I didn't hear one way or the other either. So I guess I'll have to wait. Yeah, I didn't get back in town here. I was on a quick road trip this morning, so I got here just in time for our meeting. So
I guess the last thing is, go ahead.
I'm trying to log in to check it, but I always have problems logging into their website. So
okay. I'd say the last thing is does anyone know right now that you aren't going to be unable to make it on July 11th? Okay, it's good to know. The mega ballot went to my junk inbox.
yeah,
So
looks like the vice president is still open according to the Megip page.
anyone is feeling ambitious, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. I think I'll keep myself to where I'm at right now.
yeah, confirming the vice president is not on the ballot.
Okay.
There you go, Lee.
No. I can't do two at once.
This was my thought exactly. So
All right, are there any other business or announcements for the council?
Just a quick question on your July 11th meeting. Were we planning to get together on the 10th? In the afternoon first?
Yeah, I think what we'll do is arrange a dinner social the night before. And then hopefully everybody can be in town, and we'll probably start the meeting a little earlier, at least by 9 on the 11th.
Okay.
Is there any final public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment?
Was there any written?
Okay. All right. Again, thanks for your time and your flexibility with this postponed meeting. We'll see you on July 11th. Our meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.